Basic animation with Adobe Flash. When you load Adobe Flash, this is the screen that you'll see. When you're starting with animation, it's easiest to load an ActionScript 3.0 document. You won't need to use ActionScript and use the coding for ActionScript in the document itself, but it means that when you want to preview your animation, it'll be easier to do so. So open an ActionScript 3.0 document. It may take a little while to think about it, so just while I'm waiting for this to load, we'll do a quick look around. You've got all your different create new options here, and there are all sorts of different things you could actually do in there. Most of these are beyond the scope of what we'll be doing in this tutorial. You've also got open recent items, so any files that you've been working on, you can see in here when you have some. Obviously I haven't worked on any on this computer, you can tell because there's no files there. Have the option to hide this box, which is down at the bottom if you really want to. Also have the option of using templates. So if you know what it is that you're going to be animating for, you can download a template so that your screen is your stage is the right size. Various introduction topics over here. Getting started, fairly obvious one. New features, so for people who have used earlier versions of Adobe Flash, it will show them some of the new features and what they can do. Features for developers that are available, and features for designers that are available. You've also got learning stuff, Flash Developer Center, the ActionScript Technology Center, Create JavaScript Developer Center, and a game development. So they're there if you want to have a look at those. Your timeline appears on the bottom. If you've used any of the Adobe suite, such as Photoshop or Illustrator, you may know about layers. Your layers appear in this first square on your timeline, and your layer controls are off down the bottom. You've also got the frame control, which will appear here for your timeline. Your tools are on the far right on this layout, and you've got various properties and controls that appear here. You've got your usual file commands and options up here as well. So that is a brief tour of the Adobe Flash platform. Now, this is the start of our animation. This is our stage, this white bit. Anything that is within the white bit will be shown as part of the animation. Anything that falls onto the grey outside will not be seen in the final animation when you export it. So this is our stage. Now, one of the simplest things to do is to get a shape to change into a different shape. So let's start with our oval tool, which is over on our left hand side. We'll just draw an oval onto the screen. Now that's on our first frame of layer 1, which is this little block down here. If we then go to, say, frame 55, which will give us a certain amount of frames, about 2 seconds worth at 24 frames per second. Right click on the individual frame. Each of these blocks that you see here is an individual frame. And insert a blank keyframe. Our circle will disappear because the frame we've inserted is blank, but as soon as we go back, our circle reappears again. Change your shape to a different shape that you want to use, and draw the shape in where you want it to come out to. So I now have a blue pentagon. Now, getting the circle to change into the pentagon from this point is very simple. You right click on this grey bar on your timeline where your circle is, and you create a shape tween. The bar will turn green to show that a shape tween has been set, and if you skip back to the start on our timeline controls down here and press play, you will see it morph. You can also get it to morph colours. Now, this is obviously a simple shape, But you can also do this with complex shapes, and you can do it with anything that's on the same layer. So if I press the play button again, now that I've changed the shape, you can see it changing shape and going through the colours at the same time. So that's called a shape tween, and that is a morphing type of digital animation. Let's put a new layer in down on our bottom control. The second most common type of digital animation is moving. Now, moving does pretty much what it says on the tin. You take something, you move it. So let's start with an oval again. Let's start with a nice green oval this time. We'll go from the top corner. Let's put our oval in the top corner there. And this time, you will want to insert a blank frame, or just insert a frame at the end of your animation if it doesn't come up automatically. If it does come up automatically, you'll see a little square. So if I skip this way, you can see the little square down on the bottom there. Right click on your timeline for that space and create a motion tween. It will ask you to convert the selection to a symbol. You can only do a motion tween with symbols, so click OK to allow that. Make sure you're on your last frame. Get your black arrow for your move tool, your select tool, and move the circle to where you want it to go. When you let go, you will see a dotted line will appear. If we play that, you'll see the green circle will follow the dotted line. Now what we can also do, if you see the mouse cursor changes when I put it onto that line, is we can take that line and we can actually bend it to different shapes. And then we can play and it will follow around that shape. So we can change the animation. We can also click in the middle of the animation and move it so that it goes into different places. So you can see there where I set the original curve, I've clicked here, clicked and dragged to move it, and my line has now changed. What has also happened is I've now had a keyframe inserted into here for a point where the motion changes. And there it goes. Now, there's one final technique that we can apply to this, and this is called a mask. So we'll put a new layer in again, and it will give us this already set. Now, we'll go to frame 1, and I'm going to put a rectangular mask. Now, I want to hide everything in a certain space in the middle. The tricky thing to remember about masks is you hide with your shape what you want to show. So if I do a shape here, the only bit that will be visible is a bit where that shape is. So that's no good for what I actually want. I want that bit to be hidden. So what I need to do, I need to draw a shape there, draw the shape there, and that will hide the white bit that we can see here. In order to turn your layer into a mask, right click on it and tick mask. Your shapes will disappear and you'll be able to see anything where the animation will be visible. Now that will apply the mask just to layer 2. You can see where layer 2 is indented here. And if I press the play button, it disappears and then reappears. To apply the same mask to more than one layer, you need to drag the layer up so that it indents on this white dot. When you let go, your squares will come back and you'll need to right click on the layer again and show the masking. Skip back to the start, press the play button, and now they both disappear behind that bit that we've masked as they move. And that is the basis for pretty much any and every animation you do. Complexity varies, but in terms of digital animation, the only other form that's not shown in this demo is animating frame by frame, which we will save for a different time. But using that as building blocks, you can do pretty much any animation you want.